So straight off the bat, I want to give you guys a disclaimer. I am in no way a professional car salesman. I'm just your average Jack the lad who likes tinkering, don't like the word modifying anymore, tinkering with his car. Oh man, SM performance exhaust sings. So, like I said, disclaimer, I am not a car salesman, never have been, never will be. Looking at the other side of things, I have obviously owned modified cars. My 140 was stock, my M240i had, I don't know, 763M, I think, replica wheels. The M240i had KW adaptive suspension. It had an M performance diff, but that was obviously OEM. And also on the M2, before I forget, that had a sports cat on it. So I have bought modified cars. And the M4, again, I know it's stock, it came stock rather, but it had an addition of the MPE, which, like I said, just listen to it. Woohoo, savage. So, reasons for and against buying a modified car. I've literally just finished filming a video on the history of this car, and I just thought to myself, it makes a lot of sense for me to talk about modified versus non-modified, because there might be some of you that are thinking of buying a car, or you've seen a car that you like, but you're a bit about it simply because it's modified. So I thought I'd just give you the positives and the negatives and just take it from there. So something that's on the top of my list, especially because the M4 needs a crank up fix, and that is me personally saying I think it does, just for peace of mind, so you can absolutely send it and not have a repair bill of 5 to 6 grand for an engine rebuild. Spend the 2 grand, get it done, happy days. If you had, I don't know, if you see an M4 and it says the crank hub has been done, it's knowing who does the work puts your mind at rest so much. Let's think about it. This is a £2,000 job that gets done on the car. If it's not done, it can turn into a £5,000-6,000 job. Say if, for example, my case, Williams Performance did it for me, I know I could happily ring up Mark and say, hey mate, I'm thinking of buying this car. Can you check on your books whether you have done the crank hub? Because then I know it has been done. Not that if it went wrong under my ownership, I could turn around and say, hey Mark, you broke this car, that's not going to happen, obviously, because it's Mark. But more importantly, it's something that I think, anyway, really matters. Again, if you say you're going for a track car, a car that you're going to take on track and be hooning around, and it's got loads of suspension components fitted to it, if it's not done and done correctly, say by the guys at Swift, and they know their track stuff, and they can turn around and say, yep, Tim, remember having this car and we did A, B, C to it, it's safe, it's good. So knowing that components and all the mechanical parts have been fitted correctly is definitely something that matters. The other one is pricing. You've got to look at it this way. This car, 20 grand, as is. Imagine if it had some, I don't know, an amazing forged wheels on it that were 5K. I'm gonna have to pay 25K because there's no other car that I want or that can fit in my budget, say 20K, and there's everything else is, I don't know, 200,000 miles. It's not got what I want. This car had everything I wanted, but it has £5,000 wheels on it. That's then gonna cause a problem for me because that's not within my budget. And again, when you do buy a modified car, most of the owners want to try and recoup what they paid for the car. That's when it gets a bit tricky, because essentially you only want to pay for what you want. You're not going to go to a fancy restaurant and pay for something on the menu and just leave it there. You want what you want. That's a big issue when it comes to buying modified cars, the pricing. And you look on Facebook, someone will pop a modified sale on Facebook. Oh mate, that's too much. Eating their cereal again, keyboard warrior. That's too much, mate. You're being silly. You're not going to get that. Blah 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 blah. That's definitely something you need to factor in. Whether you want to wait for the car that you want to get, or whether you want to get an unmodified one and simply spend that money you'd probably be spending to that guy on parts you definitely need or definitely want. So a huge thing is the discrepancies in mileage, and not to say clocking off the mileage, I mean on parts. So let's break that down. Say if you were buying this car off me and I said to you it's got brand new turbos on, unless there is receipts to prove every amount of work you've done and mileage, bearing in mind BMW, say if they did something on this car, they would put the mileage on a little invoice. Some garages don't do that. So if this had brand new turbos on it, just say turbos fitted. That's it on the receipt. It'd have a price, but you could make this sort of stuff up. It is a bit off a grey area, if you know what I mean. I'd much rather buy a car knowing it had the turbos done at certain miles and there's something to prove it. Again, knowing who done the turbos massively helps, but it's also quite an issue not knowing, because like I said, if you've got brand new turbos on this car and I can prove it, you'll be happy. But if I've told you it's got hybrid £4,000 turbos, oh, how long's it been on the car, mate? Oh yeah, it's been on the car for about 3 weeks. I'm like, bruv, you've had this car on sale for 3 months. Why have you whacked a turbo on it 3 weeks ago and you're gonna try and tell me the turbo's 3 weeks old? That's an issue. You don't know how much mileage are on those mods. So again, that's a reason why not to buy a modified car. And guys, like I said, please don't cane me. I love a modified car as much as anyone, but I've just been lucky to get cars where the modifications are quite light and not that intense. Now this one's more character and like a personal preference, but it sometimes takes the fun out of it. If I was to buy this car with everything, roll cage, bucket seats, turbos, meth, nitrous, the lot, it'd probably take quite a lot of fun out of the ownership, because I just have a car for the next 2-3 years that I just change wheels and brake pads on. I like to see growth like easy now, like most people would do. They'd like to say, look, this is how I got it 2 years ago and this is what it looks like now. It's quite, I don't know, I find it quite satisfying to say, yep, look at where it's come from. It's why I do the job that I do. Those of you that know, it's nice to see that change. So it definitely is something that I feel can take the fun out of it, buying a modified car, but at the same time, it definitely depends on your character. If you're somebody that just likes to get in and drive, you don't really even wash your own car, it'd kind of be pointless. You'd just be like, yeah, get it, job's done, sign on it, change the tyres, change the brake pads, service, MOT, jobs are good. And me, I want to tinker, I want to break stuff. Yeah, babe, I'm gonna be 5 minutes till I'm out there for a whole day. Now that said, let me show you the reason why I happily buy modified, lightly, again, just to point out, modified cars. Now, parts are expensive for some of you that are, I don't know, sponsored or you get deals, then obviously it's not too bad, but parts are definitely expensive. Let's look at a set of nice wheels. You're looking at upwards from £1,000. If you were going to get those parts used off Facebook or wherever, you're paying probably half the price, or normally 70% of the price, which is a fair amount on used parts, again, depending on condition and depending on age, like wear. So it definitely is a positive buying a modified cars. For example, this M Performance back box, I would never have bought this because it is a bread, mate. But luckily it came with the car and happy days. I haven't had to spend on an exhaust. It's a touch that the most expensive part, I think, on that side of the car has already been bought. I think this is 5 to 6K. So like I said, there are its positives. What else came with the car? The discs, obviously we changed them out, but had the discs been in better condition, that would have been a touch. 2-piece discs, it's a no-brainer. Cheers, mate, all day, every day. Now this one probably applies mainly to wheels, I wanna say. If I had this car and it came with some exclusive wheels that everybody wants that have been discontinued, you'd be in something very, very rare. And in my opinion, that's winning. It's got so much, I don't know, value to it that if you said, you know, one day I'm selling these wheels, and be like, hey, let me get them wheels, bruv, because the wheels on the car have been discontinued, or they only made a certain amount, or like a spoiler that everybody's after. Yeah, I want that wing for the track. Oh, mate, they don't do it anymore. That having that on your car is a great feeling, having something that everybody wants and they can't get. It's not like a bragging rights. That, mate, probably it is bragging right. A positive about getting a modified car is if it's, for example, I don't know, a slammed car or something that's got quite a lot of presence on social media. If you are into social media, that's going to help your channel. I just think about something like Calvin's Car Diaries. I'm sure loads of you watch him. There was this old chap called Arthur. He had like a 700 brake horsepower car. He bought that car and it blew his channel up. His social media presence just went through the roof simply because he's got something that already had a reputation. So that's quite cool. Say, for example, this was a stance car and I was into the stance scene and I bought this car, and I would then be receiving all of those, not the attention, but the interest that people have on the car originally would follow. Not necessarily because of me, hopefully not because of me, because obviously I'm just a gangster, but having a car that already has social media presence, number one, helps you because you can ask people, oh, do you know anything about this car? Have you seen it out before? Was the guy doing donuts at a roundabout, or is he a legit car? Has the car ever been thrashed? Have you ever seen it on track? All of that information can really help, because for some people, that attention to detail on a modified car beats having a car that's just sitting on the side of the road. Because believe it or not, modified car guys look after their cars better than people that have a stock car, in my opinion, because you spent all this money, invested all this money into it. You want to make sure she's running right, looking right, and feeling right. So yeah, I definitely feel it's a big positive having a car with a social media presence, because it ties in with my previous point. You know what's been done on the car, and you also gain a bigger audience, again, mainly if you are in social media. If you don't have social media, then it's kind of pointless. Just be like, yeah, cheers, just driving around, everyone keeps beeping at you, like, why are you beeping at me? Why are you giving me the thumbs up? Stop perving on me. So now, don't throw me under the bus, but in my opinion, if you are going to get a modified car, I personally wouldn't get it privately. I would want to get it, as I have, as a trade from a dealership, because bearing in mind, let's just give you a real life example here. I bought this car from a trade, used, slightly modified, and as soon as I bought it, the headlight had an issue, and I'll leave a link to that, and we fixed it with 0% of money. Simply because when I bought the car, it came with a 3-month warranty, and I rang him up straight away. I was like, mate, I'm driving home, look at this. I sent him a picture via WhatsApp. There's a headlight issue here. The headlight was finished, they sent me one down. I think the headlights go for about $1,000, and had I bought that from a private seller and drove off, I can't prove that was already there. It's like, mate, you're trying to bend me over here. You just bought my car, now you're trying to tell me there's a problem because you thrashed it and crashed it. I was like, mate, there's a problem. He was like, yep, no worries, mate. Part number is this, I'm sending it down. What's your address? Jobs are good. And it came the next day. Guys, tons of content coming on the M4. This year I've tried to have a strong push on posting more frequently, so more videos twice a week, 3 times a week sometimes. So yeah, if you have enjoyed this video, please smash the thumbs up button, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and I will see you in the next one. God bless. Why is this little bar for Fiat 500 trying to like smoke me? Easy now, be easy before I gap you. No, I'll gap you, bruv. Take care. God bless.